Okay, hello everybody. Let me just see, who were we talking to? So I've just been setting up drivers on the microphone, so I might be waffling a little bit while I get to where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so Vladimir M did a tutorial for us on the 28th of September. How to prepare an image for exploding FX. The next tutorial he did was when he then did the UV wrapping. I haven't gotten to that, and what good heavens. Yes, indeed. Great English. I haven't gotten to that one yet. So I just got stuck on the first one where he was preparing the grid and then showing how we split up the grid into pieces and translate and rotate them. But of course, with the various builds of Blender that have been coming out in rapid succession, especially the alpha builds, forgive me for the sound of the truck going past there. But in any case, with the alpha builds, obviously all of the attributes, the attribute nodes are pretty much gone. Thank goodness for that, because that was a confusing bunch. And so yeah, things will work now with the new fields nodes, and they work like this. In particular, he had a section, this piece right over here, where Vladimir was using attributes to do the rotation and the translation. And so without the attributes, then you have to do something slightly different. You have to use this setup of nodes over here, using a random value from your utilities submenu in your Shift A, utilities random value, and then that into a multiply against your float over there, which of course then gives you your rotation over there. And let's put that back to 0, and then piping that same value into where I see. Maybe I should rather do that like that, just for the sake of neatness. Yeah, that actually doesn't sound like a bad idea, and maybe just pop that like that, since they're just multiplying straight up against one another. Yeah, I like neatness. Neatness is good. Neatness is very good. Let's swap those two guys around again, and that'll make this a little bit more sensible here too. Well, marginally. I think I'm just carrying on a bit here unnecessarily. Let's put things back where they were. That wasn't broken, so let's not fix it, right? Yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, so for the rotation, we had the minus pi to pi, which you can just write as minus pi. Blender smart, it knows what pi is, and then that multiplied by your input value over there to determine how far along your animation you already are. And then from there I've multiplied, this is now for the rotation, I've multiplied that again by another number, 0.02, just to slow it down, because the rotation was happening a bit too fast using this system. And then I did the same thing for the translation, where I set a minus value of 5, and I see only of, let's put that back up to 5. That should probably look a bit better now. Let's see. There you go, there's a bit more movement now. That's better. But an interesting thing, major difference here, is with the fields nodes. Alright, so on the instancing on the points over there, the rotation is taken care of by that string, which is the incorrect term. String, of course, relates to text. This noodle setup, node setup, there you go. This progression of nodes over here going along to rotation, and then this progression of nodes over here going then for the translation. And then on the instances, I've selected local space, which adds a bit more interest to especially the rotations. So let's just dial that back up again, and you'll see how it starts to spin. Let's put the outline selected. There we go, it looks a bit better. And you can see how crazy and chaotic that gets, which I quite like. I think that's a little bit more interesting. Using that value means that it does take then a bit longer for the instances to start rotating, which is pretty cool. So it's not that chaotic straight away. Whereas if we mute that guy, then you'll see that it gets very chaotic immediately. And that was a major difference between the attribute system and the new field system. So just adding that back in just calmed things down, especially on the rotation, and then allows for the craziness to follow then later. But it's this local space over here which for me is the most fun, because if we disable that again, it goes up and there's rotation, but it's pretty boring. There's no movement along those rotated vectors. So it's just rotating and then pretty much going a straight line up and down. I've exaggerated the Z value over here. Quite like this multiplied by 2 so that the Z splits faster. And then the X and Y I've multiplied again to slow it down as well, so that the X and Y is not quite as exaggerated. But again, let's just take a look at this, and we can see how, that just pretty much goes up and down, and there's a little bit of sideways motion, a teeny bit on the X and Y, but not much based on that. If we crank that up, we can see, and it's interesting, it always has the positive value over there and the negative value over there, but almost nothing in the positive and negative, and the positive and, well, the negative and negative. Am I right? No, this is negative and negative, and that's positive and positive. This is positive and negative, and this is negative and positive. So it's interesting to me that it's along the positive and the negative. But I guess if I sit down and think about that for long enough, it'll all make sense anyway, based on the fact that this is determining just how much of whatever negative or positive values. So yeah, I guess it does make sense that it would have that calculation, but it's interesting that there are so few of them. It could also be that I need to do something with vector math. I'm not too sure. Please, yeah, if there's one person that reads this and knows, help me out there. But in any case, using that, and then with local space, it just gets so much more interesting, which I quite like. One little checkbox over there, and things get way more interesting. It looks like, I'm not looking at individual items here, but yeah, there's way more chaoticism. Chaoticism, is that a word? Anyway, I like this approach. This works for me. Click like, subscribe, follow, all of that kind of jazz. Thank you so much, and cheers.